Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening around the world. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Blackjack. Today, as always, I'll be doing a YouTube deck tech from the comment section for you guys. If you're interested in having me put a deck together for you or help you tweak a list you're trying to work on, I'm looking for any of the 5 metrics in the comment section. A bracket, a budget, a theme, a commander, and any pack cards you might have. Today, we have a request from the user Georgelamoree looking for a $300 budget-friendly-ish bracket 3 Edgar Markov deck. Edgar Markov is 3 colorless, a red, a white, and a black for a 4/4 Vampire Knight. Says whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone, create a 1/1 black vampire. First strike haste. Whenever Edgar Markov attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each vampire you control. Obviously, this is through and through a Mardu vampire deck. I do build my Edgar Markov a little bit different than most. I don't play a lot of low to the ground vampires just to get the Eminence synergy. I don't really want to be a super fast deck that kind of deploys everything and then dies to a board wipe. I want to be a little bit slower, deploy maybe 2 vampires, and then between the 2 vampires, the Eminence triggers and Edgar Markov have that be enough to warrant a board wipe, and then still have stuff to follow through and continue to play the game afterwards. Vampires is one of my favorite tribes in all of Magic, so I did take a lot of time and effort and care into building this deck and picking the right ones. We do have one Planeswalker. It is Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord. I hate these printings that make them look like regular cards. You can give a creature you control Death Touch, Lifelink. If it's a vampire, put a 1/1 counter on it, and then you can sack a vampire. When you do, it deals 3 damage. You can also -3 to put a vampire from your hand onto the battlefield. Creatures, Anwan the Rune Sage makes people sack non-vampires. Blood Artist is a little bit of drain and gain. Blood Ghast, just a good creature that keeps coming back. Bloodline Keeper, probably one of my favorite vampires ever printed. You can tap it to make vampires, and then you can transform it if you have 5 or more. It becomes a double pump effect, and then you can still create vampires. Bloodline Necromancer lets you bring something back from your graveyard to the battlefield. Butcher of Malakir will just eventually wipe the board. Captivating Vampire will allow you to steal other creatures as well as pump your own guys. Carmen will allow you to put counters on it, and then when it attacks, you can return permanents back to the battlefield. Champion of Dusk for card draw. Drana for some attacking in the air. Edgar Charmed Groom will come back over and over, plus it pumps your vampires. Alenda, it will create an army on its own. Army in a can is something I always like. Legion's Lieutenant is just a small pump effect. Malakir Blood Witch can do a lot of damage. Markov is a pump effect. Master of the Dark Rites will ramp you. Marvin Fane will create tokens. Olivia can steal stuff and deal damage. Patron of the Vein can destroy a creature and then put counters on vampires. Preacher of the Schism for card draw. Sanctum Seeker can really just end the game on its own. Having each opponent lose life, drain, and gain on each vampire attack is very good. Stromkirk Captain, pump effect plus first strike. Twilight Prophet for card draw. Vampire Nocturnus, as long as you have a vampire on the top, which is over 1/4 of your deck, so it should happen fairly often. It will give your creatures +2/+1 and flying. Vein Ripper, extremely powerful, a menace for a long time alongside the Sorin Planeswalker to put it directly into play. Welcoming Vampire for card draw, and then Yahenni as a sticky creature that will stay on the board. Sorceries, Dam as a piece of removal, Olivia's Wrath as a one-sided board wipe, and then Pact of the Serpent for card draw based on vampires. Instance, we have Akroma's Will, Boros Charm, Dawn's Truce, Flawless Maneuver. As I said at the beginning of the video, the way that Edgar Markov loses the game is dying to a board wipe one too many times. This deck is incredibly powerful. Everyone knows Eminence is broken. Everyone knows Edgar is one of the best vampire commanders. This deck is going to be strong no matter how you build it, as long as it has vampires in it. It's just more of a matter of how you play it. So what I would say again is deploy a couple vampires at a time, not your entire hand, and then back it up with ways to protect it like these. Chroma's Will doubles as a way to win the game, so I wouldn't use that one just haphazardly, but Boros Charm, Dawn's Truce, Flawless Maneuver are here 100% just to keep your board around. Dark Ritual as a one-off ramp piece, getting Edgar Markov down quickly is very good. And then Swords to Plowshares for obvious reasons, great removal. We have our ramp package, Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, Felwar Stone, Orzhov Signet, Rakdos Signet, Soul Rain, Talisman, Talisman, Talisman. And then technically you can count Ashnod's Altar as like a half. Um, Urza's Incubator as like a half, I guess. Herald's Horn as like a half. So it is around 10 in my brain at least, staying consistent with around that amount of ramp in order to make sure that our games are smooth every time. Ashnod's Altar to weaponize your vampires in some other way. If somebody has the board gummed up with a ton of stuff, ramping up with your 1/1 vampire tokens from Eminence into something bigger can be good. Blade of the Blood Chief to pump a vampire up. Herald's Horn, again, a little bit of ramp and a little bit of card advantage. Idol of Oblivion for card draw. Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. All of your vampires are sweet. You want to protect all of them. This is how you do that. Skull Clamp to weaponize your tokens into card draw. Anytime you're creating tokens, you want to be playing stuff like Idol of Oblivion and Skull Clamp to profit off them in a different way on a different access. Urza's Incubator to make your vampires cheaper, and then Vanquisher's Banner to pump them and draw cards. Enchantments, Black Market Connections. I've said this before, I don't put this in every black deck that I play, but in tribal based decks where the shape shifter token you're creating actually counts as that tribe, I'm more inclined to. So Black Market Connections and Phyrexian Arena for some card draw. Caretaker Talent for more card draw off making tokens. Renewed Solidarity can pump the creatures up, and then for each creature that at the beginning of your end step, for each token you control of the chosen type that entered this turn, create a token copy. So you get to kind of double up on your Eminence abilities. Legion's Landing is just an early vampire, and then eventually you can transform it, and it's just a vampire token creation on a stick. Shared Animosity. As I said, this is not, at least in my mind, when I build Edgar, it's not a super heavy get the game as over as quickly as possible. That would be more of like a goblin tribe to me. But this will be a way that even if you only have 3 or 4 vampires out, giving them all +4/+0 will end the game very quickly, and therefore it doesn't require you to put that many more creatures onto the battlefield. Ward Leader's Call as a pump effect that can also deal damage. Lands. I gave you a pretty good land base here. It's not perfect in my opinion, but for the budget, we ended up at 267. You were looking for around 300, so I think we did pretty good. There's a lot of room to add game changers and add higher tier cards. Things like Teferi's Protection, Deflecting Swat, Smothering Tithe can all be great here, but I didn't play them because I don't think they're necessary. And if you were building this from scratch, I would recommend you start with the most important stuff, which is the vampires. However, things like Abandoned Air Temple, which is newer but can put counters on your vampires, is pretty sweet. Noteworthy, Minas Tirith for card draw, and then Vault of the Archangel as a way to give your creatures Death Touch and Lifelink. It can make combat in any situation winning for you. One of my favorite lands in any tribal type deck. But overall, this is a pretty incredible deck. I've always been a fan of vampires. I think Dinosaurs etches it out, and so does Zombies, but this is a close third in my mind, and if I were to build it today, this is how I would do it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, Godspeed.